Hello plant friends, this is Miro from Basic Plants and welcome to my channel. I have decided to repot some plants today and I thought, why don't I bring you along to this repotting session. We have 7 plants today that I would like to repot and I will be using different media for this. Some of it might be interesting to you because it will be semi-hydro, I will be using seramis for the first time, so we will see how that goes. And some of it is experimental, some of it is not, some of it I think it will be okay. But I think repotting videos are always interesting for me to watch, so they might be interesting for you. Just a quick look at the plants that we will be repotting today. First one, and you may have seen this on my Instagram, is this Raphidaphora, and I honestly don't know what this is for. I got this as a cutting and I somehow imagined that this plant could climb on this, temporarily of course, but nope, it just goes wherever it wants to. So I will be repotting this plant today. It's about, I would say, 2 months old or so. And when I got it, it just had 1, 2, 3, 4 leaves. So all of this from here, let me just separate this. All of this is new growth, and obviously it started with a smaller leaf and now they're getting bigger and nicer. Actually, this plant was quite dehydrated yesterday because I'm a monster, but I did give it some water, but it's already dry, so it's in a plastic pot, and actually in 2 plastic pots with some holes, and you can see the roots are just amazing. And some of the roots are already outside of the pot. I kind of punched these holes for aeration because I'm used to potting in terracotta and now this is plastic. But obviously when you put it in another cup, it doesn't do much. But yeah, and I have roots coming out at the bottom, so I'm gonna try to preserve as much of them as I can. I don't think it will be possible, but we'll try. And actually I would like to stake this plant again using not an appropriate stake, so we will be upgrading to this one. You're probably asking, why don't you use moss ball? Well, why not make another mistake, I don't know, maybe this will work. Also, I'm not a big fan of moss balls. Another plant that we will be repotting is this Persian shield, I think they call it. It's Strobylanthes gerianus or something like that. I'm not sure. As you can see, this leaf is quite dry. It did have more leaves, this plant on the bottom, but it's in terracotta and the mix is very porous. So I honestly didn't realize how much of a drinker this plant is, and I find myself watering it every 2 days, which is, for me, that's really a lot and I cannot keep up with it. So oftentimes I will just see it, drooping down. So we're gonna fix that today. I'm gonna move it to a plastic pot and to a peatier mix. I did think about giving it a trim, but I don't know, I just don't want to do it. I don't feel like propagating this plant, and I can see there is new growth here, side shoots, so maybe it will be okay. We'll see how it goes, what form it gets, and maybe then in the summer I might trim it, or late spring. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, we will be fixing that mistake. I got this Ashkenanthus as a gift this weekend, and this is not easily found here where I live. You can see the beautiful leaves and then the underside. Yeah, I got this as a gift, but the plant, it needs some loving, so we will repot it today. And I honestly think the mix is possibly fine, but just to make sure, just to check the roots and so on, I do want to address this. I do see fungus gnats, so maybe it's not a bad idea to repot. I also got this orchid as a gift, kind of rescue this orchid. This is some Cambria type and Centium type orchid. I'm not sure. I did see the blooms, but honestly, I didn't really bother to ID it yet. So first I will repot it and then I will concern myself with IDing this plant. So obviously this plant has been through a lot. We do have a new growth here. It's not looking so hot. We do need to address the situation, and I think possibly the mix is just not appropriate. Maybe it's too dry. We'll see the state of the roots when I unpot it, so that will be interesting to see. And I hope it will do better. Another orchid, this is just finished blooming, so it's sad looking. I'm not sure if I have the picture of this on my Instagram, but this is Nelly Eisler, I don't know. It does have new growth here, which is cool. It's in a very peaty mix, so I'm gonna change that. It doesn't really work with my conditions, and it does need to be repotted. I need to see how the roots are, if also possibly spray the roots with hydrogen peroxide to make sure if there are some snails, to get rid of that, and then to get rid of this spent flower spike. Again, I initially didn't want to repot this dendrobium because it's in bloom, but it's been like this for possibly 3 months or so. I got it just before the new year, and yeah, it's a bit unstable, so we'll have to see what the situation is with that. I honestly think it's just that it probably hasn't grown into the medium, because I can see that the stem, it's not a bulb, but the branch, I cannot think of the word, I'm sorry. They are not very dehydrated. There is some dehydration, but I think the roots should be okay. And then I will leave the flower spike, but it's not a total loss if I think this one is already actually gone, so I might remove that. But this one, I will just leave there. So this is Dendrobium phalaenopsis, I think Thailand black, if I'm not mistaken. So, I just decided, since I'm repotting so many plants, why not repot this one? The last plant we will repot is this Dendrobium, and this is a white one, and you can see it does have some yellowing on the leaf, and honestly I think it's my mistake because I haven't been very good with watering. Again, I'm a monster. So we're gonna fix that today. I do see that this cane, that's the term, cane. I do see that this cane is a bit shriveled, so we might need to check the root. This hasn't done very much in the past 3 months or 4 months, which is very odd because all my other orchids are growing actively under the LED light. I do see some roots are starting to grow, but we're gonna address the situation that's going on here, and hopefully it will be for the better. Those are all the plants that we will repot today. I have no idea how long this will take. There is kind of a process to repotting orchids, and I'm glad you're gonna see that here. So yeah, let's just get started. I think for starters, we are going to unpot some orchids. So this is that little sick orchid. It also has this strange spotting on the leaf. This might be due to several factors, I'm not quite sure. I don't see any pests present, so we will see what's up with that, if the new growth will be better. Honestly, I'm not really relying on this growth here. So because unpotting orchids can be quite a challenge, we're going to do that first. The first thing I did wet the media because I find it easier to remove if it's wet, and not to damage so many roots. So as imagined, some of these roots are fine, some of these there is a lot of roots are just rotten. I usually do this under the shower because it gives me a chance to wash away the roots, but I will just try to get, and you can see how many of the roots are just falling off, so definitely not ideal. This is as much as I can remove. So I'm gonna put this off to the side. So this is as much as I can clean now, and we will come back to it when it's rinsed. I think my second orchid will be Nelly, and you know, this is a much healthier orchid. Unfortunately, the flowers are spent, but you can kind of see they're very, very nice. They're fragrant and redder than this. You know, this one has been in bloom for a long time, so really, that's all I can expect from this orchid. It's been in bloom for 3 months or so. So I actually watered this before the video, but it's quite dry. And this is orchid that really needs more moisture. We do need to address that. And I'm not gonna be very aggressive with this one. I will be more aggressive in the shower. So not too bad, but I think it will definitely do much better in its new medium. I think so. This is Dendrobium that cannot really fit here. Dendrobium phalaenopsis, and you can see I love this one because it has purplish margins on the leaves. The flower is just beautiful to look at. It really doesn't fit under the camera here. Okay, so again, squeeze the pot and gently pull it out. So this is just coconut, I think, the cork they make. And I don't like this really. So I'm just gonna try to remove as much of it as possible, but yeah, I think this needs to happen off camera. Okay, we're done with this for now. I want to unpot this Dendrobium phalaenopsis, and so again, it's probably gonna be very loud. Well, honestly, some of them are dry. So yeah, this is what I suspected. This is just not getting enough hydration. There are some new roots here, you can see. I don't see any rot. So, but yeah, it's, when you hear, it's really, really, really dry. This root is gone. You can see the tip. Here it's just coming apart. So yeah, we're gonna address all of that a little bit later. Okay, so I am back with my orchids. So we're gonna start with this one. This is the white Dendrobium phalaenopsis. Even though it appears this plant has a lot of root going for it, it actually doesn't. So to check for dead roots, you can squeeze them and gently tug on them, and then you can see it really separates. So this is a goner, even though it looks healthy. So even if you just, you know, pull away, you can see it's just gone. There is a difference between a healthy root and this root. Even though this one doesn't look like it's rotten, it's actually really gone. Healthy root will be firm to the touch, like, well, I don't know, like what. So this one, not necessarily green, but you know, this is firm to the touch. A lot of these, when you squeeze them, are just empty, and then when you pull on them, you will see they just break away. So these are just gone. If I'm being honest, if I continue looking, you know, all of this is just dead. Going from one orchid to another, you should sterilize your scissors. You know, if you're, for example, if you're cutting roots, make sure to sterilize every time between each orchid. It's very important actually to do so. You don't want to transmit any pathogens that one orchid might have to the other. The bad news, most of the roots are gone. They are just dry, and you know, this explains this dryness that I can see, and this, that it's so shriveled. But it's okay. We are gonna fix this. How are we gonna remedy this? Well, I'm gonna transfer this orchid to something that will give it more chance to have that constant supply of moisture. And here comes the semi-hydro. I'm using semi-hydro for my Hoyas, and I'm going to try it on orchids for the first time. So I just took a transparent pot, and it doesn't have to be transparent. You can just use any pot that doesn't have holes in the bottom. Holes in the bottom might work, but I just prefer this method where I put holes on the sides. So this guy might actually fit. This is looking excellent. So it seems a bit unstable, so I actually might need to stabilize it. And the reason it's so unstable, well, you know, roots usually provide that stability. But roots are gone in this case, so yeah, I just might need to add a stake to keep this orchid stabilized. Somewhat finished. Next orchid is this dendrobium, and you can see these roots are much better. They are much healthier. So when I can detect some firmness to the root when I just press them. So that's good. So this one has a healthier root system. So I'm actually going to be removing this flower spike. The flower is already spent. So again, take your scissors and try to remove as close to the cane as possible, but I will leave this other one. And this one will also be going to semi-hydro. You might say this pot is too deep, I agree, but just to future-proof it, I'm gonna put it in this pot and not gonna move it from this pot actually for quite some time, because lecca doesn't break down. So we put the orchid inside. We're gonna adjust it a bit more. This guy will definitely need some stabilizing as well. He is all over the place, so we're gonna add a stake, or possibly even two, so we can stabilize them until it roots into this lecca. Now it's just doing this. So this is the next orchid. That's the quote-unquote damaged one. So because I don't know if I don't think they're snails, but I'm just gonna, for preventative measures, spray the roots with hydrogen peroxide. Okay, so we're gonna be using seramis for that guy, but I don't think we're gonna be using pure seramis. So I will just add some sphagnum at the bottom. That's my first thing. To keep some moisture, I'm gonna add some lecca. Not a lot. And some bark. And now we're gonna add seramis. I don't want to use pure seramis because you can see my seramis isn't very chunky at all. So seramis isn't available here, but I got it through an orchid collector, and I don't really like how small it is. You can get a bigger grain of seramis, but just for the sake of the experiment and just to see if I can actually use it, we're gonna try it. The volunteer is ready. To prevent compacting this tiny seramis, I'm actually gonna mix in some sphagnum and some bark and lecca. Some bark, and then I will add more seramis. So I'm gonna top it off with bark. And the reason for this is I just had some issues leaving lecca on top. So I don't really want to have any mold developing or anything of the sorts. So this is the orchid now, and you can actually see here. So it does have a lot of seramis in the side, but it does have some other things as well. And the last orchid we're gonna deal with is Nellie. I love Nellie, even though her flowers are gone. I love her. It's my favorite. Starting off with some sphagnum, some bark, touch of lecca. Okay, and then I can put my Nellie in. And she has great roots. Making sure I connect all the layers of sphagnum. This is actually a method, it's not my method. It's a method used by another YouTuber, Miss Orchid Girl. So make sure to check out her channel, she's amazing. I think we're about done here. I think I'm gonna finish it off with bark. Nelly is done. And it's time for me to get rid of the flower. So Nelly is officially done flowering. Let's try to do you. This is Raphidaphora. I do want to preserve these roots. Just don't know how. Ooh, that's nice. So what is my plan here? Well, my plan here is to cut this cup. Plant brutality right here on this channel. Repotting brutality. Well, she definitely rooted really well for me. Okay, so we're kind of done. I'm kind of satisfied with how loose that is. I really don't have any special recipe. I'm going to use bark. Just a tiny bit of soil. A generous amount of perlite. Cocoa coir. Maybe some lecca. I'm gonna mix all of that in. Anyways, this is the mix here. Just has a bit of everything. But I'm debating if I should pot in this one or in this one. It's much larger. Some at the bottom. And then my Raphidaphora, which will go somehow like this. Okay, and I'm gonna give it the rest of the mix. She's done. She's in its pot. This is the Ashkenanthus marmoratus. I don't know. It's so late. And I'm still doing this. I'm gonna unpot it first. I'm sorry I had to unpot off camera, but you can see the roots, not many. I'm gonna use this terracotta pot for this. So the mix, I don't have the mix. The mix is kind of similar to the Raphidaphora mix. Well, maybe it's similar to my Hoya mix because Ashkenanthus is kind of similar. Bark, perlite, some cocoa peat. I really just want a well-draining mix for this plant. When I repot plants, most of it just goes outside of the pot, really. It's done. I love how the foliage looks. Look at that. I'm so happy I have you. That one's not so hot. Just look at this part of the plant. So yeah, we are gonna be done soon, which makes me really happy. The last plant is Strobilanthus. Very nice. I had a knife ready. I'm actually gonna move this to a plastic pot so I don't have to water it so much. Okay, so the root system is looking great. Not too bad. I'm gonna use this plastic pot. I know it's a bit big. Okay, I decided this is the mix. It does have a bit of bark, but mostly it's just potting soil, a bit of coir, and then perlite. It's still okay. It's not gonna sog too much, I think. It's not gonna become soggy. Okay, so we did that. The leaves look great. These ones, the bottom ones we're not gonna talk about ever. I think it will be much better in this pot. Okay, so I'm done repotting. The amount of mess I made is shocking. You can see I'm all red. The temperature went up 2 degrees in here because I have to close the window so you don't hear the cars passing by, but we are done. But let me show you the end results. So this is the orchid that we're gonna try out with seramis. As you can see, that's the sick orchid that we will try to save. The next one is my Nelly, my beautiful Nelly. So she got a mixture of sphagnum, of bark, and some lecca, and you can see. So I think she's gonna do great in this mix. Semi-hydrodendrobium. So this orchid is gonna get water, and then I had to stabilize it until roots grow in. But I think this orchid will do well in this. The dendrobium that lost a shocking amount of root, the white one. So that one is also stabilized, obviously. It needs support. It will also get watered now. Eschenanthus, she got a terracotta pot. The foliage is great. We do have, I will probably cut it back and propagate it, stick it back into the pot. Struvalanthus, now in plastic pot, and you can see the leaves. I hope this will branch out. I do see some starting points, but I might eventually just trim it back, and we're gonna lose this leaf soon, hopefully, because I don't want to look at it. But yeah. And the last one is the Raphidaphora Tetrasperma. So you can see it here. She got a bigger pot. Not too big. I wanted to use a size smaller, but it didn't really make sense because it wasn't big enough. So yeah, she does have quite a big root system, and I almost poke my eye out. That would be an achievement. And now we have a new stick, not a stake. So she has room to grow up. So yeah, those were the plants that we repotted. If I didn't forget, I'm trying to look. I don't think I forgot to repot anything. We're done. We're finished. This video took far too long. I made the biggest mess I ever made. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna do this type of video anytime soon. Maybe repotting outside or repotting in a... When I think of a different way to record this, because it wasn't very practical. But yeah. I hope you still enjoyed the video, learned something new. If you have some suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Feel free to follow me on Instagram at basie.plants. Do write something in the comments below. I would love to hear back from you. Just to keep me sane. That would be all for today. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'm gonna just very, very lightly clean all this mess. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Bye.